Hello, this is Positive Vibes Enterprise. I am Tom Goodwin. This is Michelle Ronquillo.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back.
And the subject today is vicariousness. This has to do with being able to appreciate the experiences that others have gone through and the learning that other people have gone through, and to be able to learn from them without having to learn the same lessons over and over again. It's like in education, you actually learn a lot of things by reading about other people's experiences or what they have learned or what scientists have done and what they have discovered. And it's a vicarious thing because you didn't do the research, you didn't do the experimentation, somebody else did. And that's what learning vicariously is. And there are some people that, act like that's not a good thing. I mean, you got to experience things, but if you're going to do a surgery and you're going to experience it in a good way, you better learn from the other surgeons and their experiences.
Yes, I think that in emotion and you're trying to walk in a spiritual betterment for self, it is like an easy essay or something that is really easy by learning from others. And in that, you're still experiencing. And I think that's the main point of this, is the fact that so many people say, oh, well, they have to learn on their own. They have to learn the hard way. And honestly, that's not true. When you're focused spiritually inside yourself of what you need to do, you can look around and be like, man, I can grab the gratefulness that I don't have to experience that because that person is doing it. And I am experiencing through their experiencing. So it becomes valid.
Yeah, it's good to be able to share notes with other people. Say, I've been through this, and how have your experiences been with this? And that's how we grow as human beings, because we are a social creature, and we should take advantage of the understanding, the knowledge of other people. There's sort of like an ego or arrogance when it comes to, oh, I must experience everything on my own. It's like, can you really learn everything on your own really well? Don't other people sometimes, aren't they able to learn things better than you? Aren't they more capable of you in other areas? And then you consult with them and they can give you information. And after you get it from them, you'll do better. But you do better because you consulted with somebody that knows what they're doing, that has some professional experience. A person that has professional experience, that's experience that you could benefit from.
Yeah, so we're not talking about, just the professionals in academia. We're talking about people that have really lived the spiritual life, really went into those trials and errors and fires of what really it means to suffer. But we don't want to have to go the long way to get to a result or a goal. So in doing the learning from other people's experiences for your experiences, you're literally getting and gaining some extra mileage.
And since I'm sort of a spiritual pioneer and I have done a lot of trial and error, and I've learned a lot as a result of that trial and error, and I've done things that a lot of people, I know from experience that people say clear me when I'm in the intense energy field that goes with my trial and error in my research. So I know other people don't really want to do a lot of the stuff that I do, but they can learn from me. In other words, when somebody is an experimenter and does all these things, and like an explorer that goes to the North Pole and does all these things, then he comes back and he says, "You want to join my team? We're gonna do another expedition." But you're going to first have to, I'm first going to have to teach you some pointers or get some of my team together and get them to, tell you what you need to know and what training you need and all that stuff. So it's very important to use the knowledge of other people. And In the spiritual, one of the problems we have is that people do not do a lot of thinking about it. They just get programmed when they're young, most of them, and then they just stick to that programming and it act like, that's me. That programming is me. Don't touch it. Don't tamper with it. It's too inside of me to be touched.
To the ego.
And the thing is, some of the problems in this world are really deep. And you really have to go deep within yourself to deal with them. And you have to have really good programming inside of yourself. You have to have it really together inside yourself to deal with it. And if you were programmed, most people are programmed in not the most rational, reasonable programming. At least that's my point of view. And those that disagree, I have a tendency to stay clear of them because I need reasonable people around me because I get in trouble when there's people that are rational telling me, how I should lead my life or something.
Free will is important in the independence growth of everybody, and it is important to balance your empathy, balance your compassion, balance your vicarious learning through others, balance the direction of your life, the choices that you are making, and just know 100% of the time that when you're in that rut of where to go, you can literally reach out and get an understanding that you're not really facing really hard trials, and someone else is facing harder stuff that you can learn from and be grateful for. Pull it in.
And I keep saying that emotions power the spiritual.
Yes.
And so what you need to learn from are the people that have very strong passions, that they have control over, that they're able to direct to make things happen in this world. Because passion and emotion is a positive thing if you can handle it properly. If you can handle it properly, you can actually direct your desires to go in a more healthy, positive direction, because desires follow your emotions. They originate in your spirit or your emotional side of your being, and then they come from there. So if your emotions have problems, you're going to have cravings and things that aren't the healthiest, because what happens with the cravings? You are drawn to drugs or chemicals or things that are going to distort your emotional state you're in. And if you have your emotional state in real good shape, you don't need these outside addictions or things to prop you up.
Yeah, it disconnects from the solitude of what you're trying to pull in, of the spiritual energies, of the directions that you're going. It takes you off course in the fact that it leads you in delusions. It leads you into bad, negative things that it beats your self-confidence, just negative thoughts, negative feelings, negative emotions that are just a waste of time.
And then who should you learn vicariously from when it comes to the spiritual? The person with the humongous mansion that has all these big, huge cars and all this material stuff? Well, they obviously have an addiction. They're not doing something that's really reasonable when it comes to making this world a better place, contributing to a better world, helping humanity out. In other words, they're hogging stuff. And it's not really for their well-being that much either, because it becomes a burden. They have to put all their energy into keeping track of it, or keeping track of the people that are keeping track of it for them. So it's a real big spiritual burden for them. So therefore, they have less spiritual energy to put in more productive direction.
Yes. So when you're focused on learning from others, really focus on a spiritual person that is evolving to make the world a better place by their examples. And so it challenges you to mirror and reflect your own essence of where you're going, your voice, your experiences. Everybody has experienced things that we all need to hear and learn from, and can vicariously live through, because you've experienced something someone has not. So please open your heart and your mind to the fact that it is possible that you are becoming the teacher for someone else's journeys. And that is what it's all about, by showing the examples of your steps. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it's tough. Yes, you crumble. Yes, you crawl. Yes, it is.
And we do need positive examples, people that actually take care of themselves
That's
well,
right.
that avoid all these drugs that are so prevalent in this world.
That's right.
That tend to distort and mess you up. So you can have a clearer vision. And be able to eat healthy food, and healthy food may be different for different people, but you have to focus spiritually and figure that out. And
Yes.
so the person that is healthy as a result of an exercise and diet program, that's the person to see that, can put some value in it. You also have to evaluate what spiritual ideas and everything else. You always have to question. In other words, when you're learning from somebody, you got to question them. If they just say, "Oh, I'm a real good example," now you just take in my brainwashing, and don't question me.
You're still independent.
In other words, you don't ever do that. The
Research.
Person says, "Oh, my diet of oatmeal and spinach and vitamins works really well for me." That's my diet, by the way. And therefore, everybody should be on that diet.
And I'm going to say right now, I don't eat Tom's diet.
You should.
That's right.
No,
but I am an independent person that is at
kidding.
that point.
No, what I mean is, but you can eat more vegetables and figure out.
Tone up for your own nutritional health and benefits.
Because everybody's different.
Supports that all the time.
And I'm a spiritual pioneer. I'm neurologically different, so I can take huge doses of vitamin C and do things that other people would find not tolerate because. My nerves run differently. My body runs differently.
Everybody runs differently. So in understanding what works for you, research and seek it out and question. Like Tom said earlier, if these people come up and say, "I know this, I know that, this is working for me," great. I'll try it out. But if it works for me, great. If it doesn't, take what you want and leave the rest behind.
And the focus is on being healthy. And being healthy doesn't mean you're one of these big, huge, bulky bodybuilders. That doesn't that is not the definition of health. The definition of health is it's sort of like having a good, strong heart, having good circulation, having things that make you better able not to get sick.
Yeah,
and to function, at the best at what you're trying to do in this world. And not everybody needs to be able to lift cars. We don't really have a high demand for that in this modern age.
That's right. And you can connect things in your body with your health, with your nutrition, with your habits, and deconnect from all the habits, bad habits, toxins, all that stuff that's harmful for you. Then you begin to, when you very first taste it, you're like, I don't even know how I did that, because your body is changing and your health is changing and your nutrition is changing.
You can get a different mindset. My mindset has been for a very long time. I want to be able to function the best I can because I'm struggling to survive in this world. I have to function well. And since ice cream and things like that never had a lot of power over me because my life is so rough, how could ice cream and stuff like that mean much to a person that's really fighting for their survival all the time?
Yeah.
So when you get really into trying to get the most out of yourself, you're going to have a tendency to say, does this food allow me to function better? I'm only going to eat that which allows me to function better. And then, surprise, surprise, the food you're eating actually tastes good afterwards.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about taste. You're going to eat healthy food. You're going to find that the healthy food tastes good. And especially when you're hungry because you haven't been overeating, so you get a good appetite, then you're going to appreciate food that when you don't have as much an appetite because you keep eating even when you're not hungry.
That's right.
Then you're going to be more into addictions and things like that because the healthy food, that just doesn't have enough ability to affect me.
But everything is going to be hard if it's going to be right for you. If it's going to be good for you, it's going to be a challenge because we're evolving and pushing going forward. So because of that, you have to have that strength to see when you experience and when you can reach out to others and when you can learn from others and when you learn from yourself, when to voice things out and when to listen, because it's always give and receive in the spiritual. It's always that ebb and flow of understanding and knowing and listening and receiving and balance.
And it is true that you don't want to just be listening to people and not applying. I'm very
That's
much
right.
into doing. So a lot of it has to do with experimenting and doing.
That's right.
But in order to do that well, you have to do your research and learn from other people all the time. It's just like when a bunch of runners get together and they'll share tips. This is what I do. That's what I do.
Right.
And they'll do all that. And the people even have coaches that are really good at getting, studying and figuring out all the different tips, and they have experience in it.
That's right.
But one thing I have to say is some people say, oh, everybody's reality is different, and they get caught up in that. But the truth is we have a common reality. And we have to know we have a common reality. How are we going to deal with the fact that we have all this poverty and all this violence in the prison system that, has too many people that are messed up in it because of the drugs and all the other things and the way our society does not take care of people well enough and all that stuff? How are we going to do that if we don't understand our common reality that we live in? Okay. So the people that get caught up in the one-sided, the thing with the spiritual, you have to look at all sides.
That's
but
right.
People get one-sided. And they don't like one portion of reality, so they create an afterlife that only has the other portion of reality. It's always this one-sidedness. And what you have to understand, you take into account all sides, and you need to try to figure out what will bring about the healthiest, best, most positive results to make this world a better place.
That's
and some
right.
people may say, well, what is making the world a better place? And then I have to point out, these people really shouldn't be hungry and malnourished in these places. These people shouldn't be violent, being hitting people over the head. Because some people don't, seem to even be dismissive of that. They say, we don't have duality. There is only one. So therefore, there's no evil. There's no negative. It's all good or something. I've heard that. So there's all kinds of one-sided belief systems out there. And they just don't interface with reality very well. And it's the reality with global warming and all the problems that the modern technological age that we're into is creating. It's that reality that needs to be addressed. And of course it's challenging, but that's how you prove how good your spiritual theories actually work, is by how well they work in this reality that's so hard to deal with.
That's right.
So you have to have something to challenge you, and we have it right here, right now. And we can do so much better than that, because I've been pushing the edge all my life. I look at the world differently because of the way I am. So I don't look at it with the limitations of conservative science that only sees the material and tends to see a one-size-fits-all solution for, how human beings are, seeing all human beings on the same level, not seeing that human beings can develop to, incredibly, more spiritually than others.
Yes.
You can get tremendous development. We can get tremendous control of our so-called instincts and our desires. They're not locked in.
That's right. And where does that begin? That begins with our focus. That begins with our voices. That begins with our experiences. That begins with our examples. So that is literally an important part of the whole ball of wax, is that spirituality comes right back down to your actions, doing your things, and we're challenging you.
Yeah, you have to experience these things, and that's what we're always talking about, but at the same time, you have to be willing to learn from other people.
That's right.
You can't have this attitude, oh, I can't be learning from these other people. It makes me feel bad, because I'm supposed to know everything. I'm not want to compete. I don't want to. In other words, a lot of the time, in recent time, we've been afraid to hurt young children when it comes to, that somebody might do things better than them or be better than them in one thing or another. But we're all different, and we're going to have areas that we're more competent than others. That's competition, the root of that word is. And competition, when it comes to trying to be the best in a particular area, that's not a negative thing. Because whenever you're trying to get that one job and there's 10 applicants, that is competition. That is the reality of this world. There's only so many slots available, and to get those the slots, you have to work harder than other people. That is competition. So competition is not a negative thing necessarily. It can be a negative thing if it's just something which is used to put people down, and it's not used as a means of trying to excel. In other words, you excel and you try to do better than other people, and hopefully they try to do better than you, and everybody's trying to do better, and they're all, like I say, I'll demonstrate my techniques, and I'll say, I want everybody to try to get better than me. And I'm not going to make it easy because I'm going to try to keep getting better at the same time. I mean, I've been in competitions before, and the thing is, you don't worry about losing. That's not your concern. Your concern is to do the best you can.
And that goes into self-confidence. It goes into knowing who you are. It goes into believing and striving and working hard for everything that you get. And that's self-love, and it is also self-reflections of competing with self to better yourself. Not the ego part, but to understand that we're gaining knowledge and we appreciate the people that get in first place versus third place. That was a very important role, was to understand that we all have those certain strengths and some people have those certain weaknesses that rely on the strengths of others to go to that limit and be the best that they can be and not have shame. Not have shame that someone else or is better.
And it doesn't. A lot of times, you don't have to come in first. You can be going in a competition, and in the competition, you're happy if you get in the top 20 or the top 30 or the top 50 or whatever it is that will put you in a special category to make you effective. Yes. Because a lot of times we have to work as groups. So that's how it, and just because somebody is very good at one thing in the group and excels in one thing, doesn't mean you can't excel in another area within that group.
That's right. That's right. So we all are there for each other's support, but 100% we have to support ourselves and better ourselves.
We may seem like we're going off the subject of vicariousness, but I always like to see show all the different sides of things. So yes. It's almost like whenever you open up a spiritual thought of one form, it goes complete circle because you're dealing with all reality. The spiritual is like a whole picture all the time.
Yes, it is.
So that's what makes it tricky. But the main thing is you learn from other people. You learn from people that are doing things better than you are doing it. Yes. And you try to get tips from them so that you can do better. And you might even do better than them if they start not learning enough from other people around them and they get too full of themselves, then you might pass down.
Stagnant is what we call it. Stagnant energy is not good. We got to flow, move.
So in other words, once you get to the point where you say, oh, I'm satisfied with where I'm at, then, of course, that's the point when the other people have an opportunity to show, like, that person has quit. They're not moving anymore. We're going to jump in and we're going to learn from his. One of the things you'll notice in sports, which is an analogy. I mean, I'm not saying sports is a wonderful thing, but there's like something you can use to research. What you'll learn is what happens is they'll say, oh, the old people, the old timers were better. But what they find is the old timers aren't better than the new people that are in the sport, the newer people, because the newer people take everything from the old timers, all their techniques, all their tricks. They learn everything that the people, the older, the ones from the past have learned. They learn them and they apply them. So they're doing all these tricks and things that were never done before when they're playing the sport. So of course they're better. You can always get better than that comes before because you can learn vicariously from them.
And that's the title.
And I see that all the time when it comes to, you see in basketball, how they learn all the different tricks on how to, put the ball in the hoop, fancy moves and everything. They learn it from the people from the past. And as soon as somebody is out there that, had some kind of special shot that works so well, the next thing you know, they're all out there practicing it 100 times, in practice so that they can do it because so that's an example, not that sports is the most, contributing to society, but it's sort of a research branch, you could say.
Yeah, it's definitely a great example of vicariousness living through others.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important. I mean, if somebody has a move, I mean, I don't care, if people find ideas of mine and they try them out and it helps them to function better in this world, they can just claim it as their own because once it becomes part of their inner being, it's there. They say it may have originated from this source, but once you take it on, it's yours.
Yes, definitely. E equals MC squared.
In other words, the spiritual is not something you can take possession of.
That's
You
right.
may tune into things, you may present things because of your research at something, but it's like a piece of art.
That's right.
You may create the piece of art, but you give it away and somebody else will possess it. And that's the way creative people are.
That's right.
They
And it
produce.
feels right and it keeps on moving. You flow with what your energies are creating.
So they create things, and then people will, and sometimes what they're creating they may have to do with knowledge that you can learn vicariously from what they have learned from their research or from their experimentation. Well, this is Positive Vibes Enterprise. The subject has been vicariousness.
Yay.
We appreciate you watching.
Yes, subscribe.
Yes, subscribe and spread the word about us, because we're not getting enough subscribers, and I think our videos are very good and they should go viral. They need to go viral. People need to learn vicariously from us, because we put a lot of energy in this. We're not youngsters, so we've had a lot of time to learn and grow.
Yeah, definitely. And we want to hear your voices. We want to learn from you. All right. See you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.